Welcome to the Intercut podcast channel and the 2025 Intercut Awards, the yearly place to hear about the best in movies. I'm your co-host, Zachary Shevich, and joining me, we always split the vote. It's Arturo Zurita.
I should have been coming in with those popcorn buckets that Emma Stone had walking into the award show. She was ready.
Really,
she was stacked.
Fashion meets function, huh?
That was us at Sundance. I mean, it's the only thing you can survive off of when you're watching back-to-back movies. And considering what we're about to cover here, that pretty much was our diet for this past year as we go through the 6? I don't know how many hundreds of movies we saw, but we have gone scientifically, beat by beat for all of these categories. The Oscars ain't got nothing on us because the Oscars have, 1,000 people watching all the movies? They don't even finish them. Every single movie here has been viewed to completion by yours truly, the host here on the Intercut podcast.
Yeah, do you want to hear the opinions of thousands of people whose names you might not know, or just two guys on the internet with some opinions? These are our annual Intercut Awards, where we get on the fun of giving out awards to the best that movies had to offer. We sit and we deliberate over who we believe are the best in their fields. Not just the winners, but the nominees are all selected through a rigorous back and forth from Arturo and I. And yeah, we always like presenting these as the year starts to wind down. We also are getting a bunch of help from the Intercuties on this episode. You will see and hear from our loyal contributors, followers, whatever you want to call them, and hear their opinions, because we took a poll and got many votes from across the internet. And I'm really curious to see, what are the results of the different Intercuties tastes, because sometimes they might line up with us. Sometimes they may have a completely different opinion of what the best of the year was.
So big shout out to all the Intercuties who submitted. We appreciate it, like you have done on a yearly basis. And now it's just time to get into the movies that you should have on your radar. This staple of a video to look back at what defined 2025.
Yeah, and no better way to kick it off with the best international films in our International Plus category. These are films that are non-American movies. They are from across the globe. They might even be in English or partially in English, but they are from outside the Hollywood system. And many times these are some of the best movies of the year. We are obviously very American focused with our coverage on Intercut, but we love to peer outside of our country and see what the rest of the world of cinema has to offer. At least this year, these are the movies that I think we thought were the best.
To give you some of our International Plus selections, we begin our movie breakdown with number 10's Humanist Vampire Seeking Consenting Suicidal Person. Quite possibly the best title that we've got on this list, and a movie that I think perfectly embodies the beauty of horror and the uncomfortableness of comedy all into one, about a humanist vampire who's seeking consenting suicidal people out there. Coming in at number 10.
At number 9, we have a bit of a tongue twister in Blackbird, Blackberry. This is a Georgian film that Art has hyped up a bunch on the podcast. And yeah, one of the standout international films from the year.
At number 8, we have Girls Will Be Girls, a movie that came out of Sundance and really blew us away. Has the same actress that a lot of people have been applauding for out of All We Imagine Is Light. I implore y'all to check out this story of a mother and a daughter who are almost to a degree having the exact same storyline happening, like they're both coming of age. It was one of the standouts out of Sundance World Cinema Dramatic Selection from last year, and made it all the way to our International Plus.
At number 7, we have The Girl with the Needle, a really striking black and white Danish film, one of the nominees for Best International Film at the Oscars this year. A story of a young girl seeking an underground abortion. Really compelling one.
Next up, we have La Quimera. Josh O'Connor, turns out, can speak more languages than people can serve up quotes. This man comes out and he does a really good job in this Italian film where he's going through the countryside and getting to know the environment, the art, all the people there in a standout film at our number 6 spot, La Quimera.
Number 5 is River, the follow-up from Yuta Yamaguchi, which takes on the time loop conundrum and makes all new innovations on it. A very fun Japanese comedy with a intimate feel as well.
The next one is a pick that I don't even know how to pitch it to y'all because it is one of the most jarring movies out there. At number 4, we have The Beast. It starts Léa Seydoux as this woman who's kind of getting her DNA absorbed into like a virtual reality where she's coming across some very interesting figures you don't want to come across in the real world. It is embodying different forms of filming, editing, aesthetics. It's definitely something that's not just outside of the American system. It may be like no other movie that you've seen. Number 4, The Beast.
At number 3, we're going the latest Ryosuke Hamaguchi film, Evil Does Not Exist, a transfixing story of a corporation's planned takeover of a riverside area for their glamping activities and how this affects certain people within this small village outside of Tokyo. Very fascinating movie with a really perplexing, inscrutable ending.
One of the best slow burns of the year. Another one that really takes it out of you but is a standout is Brazil's I'm Still Here, based on the real story of what this family had to go through all of the government debacles that they were dealing with. It is a standout ensemble, one of the best performances of the year, and our number 2 spot here for International Plus. I'm Still Here.
But the winner of the Intercut Award for Best International Plus Feature is going to The Seed of the Sacred Fig, the incredible film from Mohamed Raslouf about unrest in Tehran and its effect on this family. Really intense film that starts as like kind of like a sociological study and morphs itself into an intimate thriller. Just a really amazing piece of cinema with an amazing story behind it, and our standout for the best international film of the year.
But did the Intercuties agree with us? Let's hear what they have to say.
Only one way to find out.
Hello, I'm here to present the award for Best Non-American Movie. There was a lot of votes this year, and a lot of them went to Look Back, Evil Does Not Exist, How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, Kneecap, Red Rooms, Oddity, Manjamel Boys, Memoir of a Snail, The Seed of the Sacred Fig, La Chimera, and I Used to Be Funny and Flow. But they can only go to one, which means the winner of Best Non-American Movie is I'm Still Here.
Moving on to our best documentary feature selections for the year, starting off with our number 10 selection, which is The Contestant, a riveting story of what happened with a Japanese game show that asked a man to live with basically no accommodations for years on end to the amusement of others. Sort of a modern Stanford prison experiment that people clapped along to.
On top of that, we have at number 9, Bye Bye Tiberius. In a year where we've had no other land and many movies dealing with Palestine, there was one that really stood out to us back from TIFF, and it was Bye Bye Tiberius, that follows the story of Himan Habas, who many of you may know from really big roles in Succession. This is a story about her daughter directing their home video footage and archiving it to show you the difference between the generations of their grandmother to her mom to her and how the place has changed. A real big standout doc that not only embodies what a lot of people have been talking about overseas, but also showcases how it affects this family who's been in the arts for so long. At number 9, Bye Bye Tiberius.
At number 8, we have Chasing Amy, filmmaker Sav Rogers' complex and nuanced dive into the legacy of the iconic 1997 film Chasing Amy. And then at number 7, we have the Oscar-nominated story Porcelain War that shows what happens to Ukraine's artists who have to choose to stay behind and fight on behalf of their nation. This movie did get nominated for an Oscar this year as well.
At number 6, we have Frida, the story of Frida Kahlo, kind of told through all of her artwork, her lost voice memos, to combine it into a movie that I thought was one of the best archival throwbacks of the year.
At number 5 is Steve, the 2-part story of Steve Martin, a look at the iconic comedian from his rise to iconic status to how he has chosen to use his fame and luxury.
Next up, we have Soundtrack to a Coup d'etat, one of the best edited movies of the year, about what happens when the government wants to take all of these famous musicians and use their instruments as weapons for something else, not realizing they already have that down pat. Definitely check out this movie, made it all the way to the Oscars, and is definitely worth your time.
At number 3, we have Will and Harper, the story of Will Ferrell and Harper Steele's cross-country journey to reconnect after Harper Steele comes out. A really lovely story of evolving friendships and acceptance that is also one of the funniest movies of the year.
And then wrapping up our list with our top 2 are movies that are must-watches before you make your list. Black Box Diaries is a story of Shiori Ito, who not only takes her case, but edits it, films it and puts on an entire lawsuit against the person who hurt her while making you laugh in the documentary. One of the most outstanding pieces of cinema from last year that you definitely need to check out, alongside our #1 documentary of the year. One that didn't even get nominated by the Oscars. Netflix's Daughters, a movie that had us crying at Sundance to no degree. We have seen not a single person watch this movie and come out with dry eyes. The story of fathers who are getting this annual dance with their daughters provided by the state because they're imprisoned, while not telling you anything about why they're there, but just showcasing what is actually being split apart when families are torn apart. Daughters is our #1 documentary of the year, easily.
Yeah, it is a remarkable piece of filmmaking, a really patient piece of documentary filmmaking that is willing to see the long tail of its story play out. Just a stunning film that we have not forgotten about a year plus after watching it, and really wish that it had received that love from the Academy Awards. It's okay. We will give it that love here. But the Intercuties selected a best documentary that didn't even make it on our top 10 of the year. So let's hear which documentary film the Intercuties selected as their choice for the best of the year.
Hi, I'm Alina, and I'm here to present the Intercutie nominees and winner for Best Documentary Feature of 2024. The nominees are Black Box Diaries, Dahomey, Daughters, No Other Land, The Remarkable Life of Evelyn, Superman, the Christopher Reeve Story, and Will and Harper. And the winner of the Intercutie Award for Best Documentary is No Other Land.
Before we give out the rest of our awards, let's talk about some other big movie awards, the Oscars. They are coming up very soon, and now you can bet on them in all 50 states in the United States using today's sponsor, Kalshi. Kalshi is the first and only legal prediction market that lets you bet on real-world events, whether it's sports, politics, the Grammys, and the 2025 Oscars. I've got a lot of opinions on who will and should win, and if you're watching this video, you probably do too. Now you can test your knowledge against the markets for a chance to multiply your money. By heading over to kalshi.com/Oscars, you can take a look at the markets for several categories and what the odds are for many of your movie favorites, whether that's in supporting actor, director, documentary feature, or the fairly interesting field in Best International Feature, where Emilia Perez was the favorite for a long time until some tweets came up from one of its stars and flipped the betting markets a little bit here, so that I'm Still Here is now in the lead. But if you happen to think that Emilia Perez might still come out as the favorite on Oscars night, a bet for $10 would pay out $23 if Emilia Perez ends up taking home the Oscar for Best International Feature. Elsewhere in the hotly contested Best Actress category, Demi Moore flipped the odds on Mikey Madison and is currently ahead with a 57% chance to win. Betting $10 on Demi Moore will bring you a payout of $17, but take that same $10 and bet it on Mikey Madison to win Best Actress, and you could take home $27 on Oscars night. Maybe you think The Brutalist, which is currently sitting at only 15% on Kalshi, has a good shot to win the Best Picture Oscar. There, your $10 bet will pay out as much as $62, almost enough for you to fund another movie like The Brutalist. I'm particularly interested in the market for which movie will win the most Oscars, which is always a tricky thing to predict. You can even bet on a tie between different films, which is currently the frontrunner at 35%. Maybe you think Nora is the movie that'll win the most Academy Awards. It's at 32% on Kalshi. Maybe you think that The Brutalist is going to take home that top prize, or the most of the top prizes. That would be 22%. But the odds on Emilia Perez, with its 13 Oscar nominations, are way down at 5%. Less likely, but much bigger payouts. It's really simple to do from your computer or the Kalshi app available on your phone. Kalshi has markets on almost everything. They have over 1 million users in all 50 states and have facilitated over $1 billion worth of trades. So if you're confident you know who's going to take home gold on Oscars night, you can put your money where your mouth is and sign up at kalshi.com. Either make your own picks or take some advice from me and the rest of the Intercuties and choose our favorites from the Intercut Awards. Thanks again to Kalshi, and let's take a look at the next category.
Moving on to the next category, we have the Best Animated Movies of the Year. And while the Oscars only want to give you 5, man, this is more than a genre. It is a medium that can express things that are not just for kids, but for everybody. And so we begin our category with a movie that barely even crosses an hour. Look Back, an anime that almost feels like a sliding doors type story in where an artist starts taking a different path than the friend who started pushing her there. Definitely check this one out over on Max.
At number 9, we have a Netflix animated movie that was largely forgotten this year, but want to shout out Orion and the Dark, a story about a young boy trying to overcome his fear of the dark that's got some existential and interesting spins on it, courtesy of an assist on the screenplay by Charlie Kaufman.
That never hurts. Charlie Kaufman did not work on Transformers 1, but we found it to be a riveting movie that kind of looks back at the Transformers characters that we know, Optimus Prime, the Decepticons, all of them coming into fruition in a story that I thought did a really good job in Dolby.
At number 7, we're putting Wallace and Gromit, Vengeance Most Foul, a return to the classic Aardman animation characters who are always getting up to funny slapsticky adventures, particularly here when they contend with the return of Feathers McGraw.
I don't know how they still got clay for these movies, but hey, keep it going. At number 6, we got Robot Dreams, the story of a dog who decides he's so lonely he buys a robot. But you know, there's a lot more maintenance that comes with having a best friend. Robot Dreams at number 6.
And a lot of listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. Number 5 on our list is Inside Out 2. The big Pixar sequel to the animated adventure brings us back inside Riley's mind to contend with an all-new set of emotions and some really awe-inspiring visual set pieces.
Next up, we have the movie over on the Criterion, an international flick from France, Chicken for Linda. Follows a very spunky girl as she's just, trying to make a day out of herself. And if only her single mother had more help. One of the most beautiful animations out there. Very vibrant. Give it a shout out.
At number 3 is Chris Sanders' The Wild Robot, a story of found families and motherhood after a wild robot gets shipwrecked on a deserted island and learns to communicate with the animals around her.
At number 2, we have my personal film, but I still can't deny what our number 1's going to be. At number 2, we have Memoir of a Snail. If it looks familiar, it's because some of you may have seen Mary and Max. And just like that movie, it is one of the funniest, most dramatic, most dreary tales you could tell about a group of siblings, 2 siblings who end up getting split and try everything in order to get back together. Memoir of a Snail.
But the Intercut Award winner for Best Animated Film of the Year is going to Flow, the dialogue-free story of a cat escaping rising floods and finding refuge on a boat with an assortment of other wild animals. Really adorably animated movie that somehow was made in free programs online. A real huge achievement.
We had an intercut on stuff bigger than what they did with Flow, so shout out to Flow. Officially, now the name of the cat in the movie.
We should see, though, if the Intercuties agreed. What did they give Best Animated Film of the Year?
Ah, the Intercut Awards, huh? Well, good to see you. How you doing? Everything good? You're hydrated? You good? Well, my name is Murjani Rawls, and I'm here to tell you the winner of the Best Animated Feature for 2024. So, as voted by the Intercuties, here are the runners-up. That Christmas, Transformers 1, Look Back, Inside Out, and Flow. And your winner for the award for the Best Animated Feature is The Wild Robot. Congratulations to Bright Bill and the gang. You just won an award that is probably, I would say, more comparable than the Oscar. Signing off.
Moving on to the Best Visual Effects category, our number 7 selection is for Smile 2, and it's gory, incredible practical effects, as well as some really scary visual moments.
You know how to do the smile, right? You just gotta go like that. Boom.
The classic Jack Nicholson.
Easiest practical effect to do at home. Easily. But the one that you cannot do at home is a film that decided to AI its lead actress for the entire first half. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, has scenes in the movie where you swear on a second watch you're watching it for the first time. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, coming in at number 6 for visual effects.
At number 5, we could not ignore the visual prowess of a movie like Hundreds of Beavers, which takes a green screen and a couple of mascot costumes and turns it into a Looney Tunes adventure. Such a visually inventive and funny use of visual effects.
They did not have Hundreds of Beavers there. At number 4, we have The Substance, a movie that takes body horror to the next level. It's so good, people swear that it's a genre that was just invented. The Substance at number 4.
At number 3, we have a musical biopic that has no reason to be quite so visually effects driven as it is, other than the fact that it makes it so much more memorable. We're talking about the Robbie Williams biopic Better Man and the monkey chaos at its center.
And number 2, we've got a movie that we made it all the way out to an exclusive IMAX cinema for, and that's Dune Part 2. We're talking about a film filmed in, what was it, the black and white infrared scene. You're talking about people floating like they're actually flying in the sky. And of course, you have the worm scene. At number 2, it's Dune Part 2.
But the winner for the best visual effects for a film from last year can't go to anything other than Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, with its incredible use of motion tracking, capture performance technology. They were able to even release a whole cut of the film without the visual effects, just to show the lengths they went to in order to capture these performances authentically.
What a wonderful day. But did the Intercuties agree with us? Or do they have something else up their sleeve?
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Chase Cesarian, and I'm presenting the Intercutie Award for Best Visual Effects. The runner-ups were Better Man, Furiosa, Nosferatu, Civil War, The Substance, and Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But the winner of Best Visual Effects, with over 50% of you guys voting for it, is Dune Part 2. That's my personal favorite movie from last year. It's clearly not the Academy's, but let's see if Dune Part 2 takes home any more awards tonight. So shout out to Art and Zach for having me on again, and yeah, back to the 2024 Intercut Awards.
Next up, we have a category that the Oscars don't like to play with. Oh, but it's the reason we started these Intercut Awards. Best Stunts/Choreography. The Oscars have 0. We've got 10 for you. And look, we take it as serious as possible. At number 10, we have the movie many people have animosity towards, but we know where it excelled. Emilia Perez has several musical sequences that are done to perfection. Even if we don't like the movie, even if we don't like the characters.
At number 9 is the precise tennis action in Challengers, a really dynamic, visually driven film that requires some deft footwork from its stars.
At number 8, we have Wicked, the one that has everybody doing the dances as they were walking up and down, had some of the most beautiful sets, even if, the visuals weren't fully there. I'm sure someone color graded it so that we can get the choreography down pat. At number 8, it's Wicked.
At number 7, we're going with the film that we might have some mixed opinions on, but we have to respect the work that goes into its really grisly fight scenes. Boy Kills World had some of the bloodiest and most dynamic moments in a movie this year.
Just watch it on mute. You don't need that narration. Another one that you will have to have the sound on because it embodies all of it. Smile 2. We had several concert movies this year, but nothing embodied the nervousness of being on stage or off stage than the terrors that embodied Smile 2.
And number 5, we're going with Alex Garland's Civil War because it captures the edge of your seat, thrilling nature of these combat scenes so viscerally, you just can't help but feel like you're in danger too.
It's one of those ones Jake Gyllenhaal says you can buy the seat, but you're only going to need the edge of it for that one. We're still in the Paramount feeling that. At number 4, we have Dune Part 2, a movie that is just stunning in every way, shape, or form, from these big set pieces to the Coliseum scene where they were duking it out, to Chip and Chatter all the way down to that final sequence where they duke it out. One of the best stunts, choreography of the year, Dune Part 2.
At number 3, we're going with the movie about stunts. I don't know why it didn't take number 1, but just means that the other movies were that much more impressive. The Fall Guy from David Leitch flipped the car more than a car's ever been flipped in a movie. Has a few other impressive stuff and a crazy fall or two in there as well. But yeah, it's still one of the most dynamic, one of the best instances of film choreography we've seen this year.
A love letter to stunts, and may actually be the one to eventually put the Oscars on blast and get a stunts category. So shout out the Fall Guy for that. But there was one you loved even more out of this festival, and that was Monkey Man, a movie that is not only the directorial debut of Dave Patel. My man said he broke almost every bone in his body to make this one. It is invigorating. It is energetic. It's got so much going for it, and we have it here at a number 2 spot.
But nothing could be our number 1 contender for the Intercut Award for Best Stunts or Choreography, and that's got to go to George Miller's Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. The 20+ minute war rig sequence alone involves so
Unbelievable.
much incredible stunt work and timing and precision. But that movie is just layered with incredible moment after incredible moment. And really, it could be no other movie this year.
It's incredible, bro. They even said they had 2 teams. So they had an A and a B team risking their lives doing these stunts in order to get this out on time.
Absolutely nuts.
But did the Intercuties agree with us, or what was their favorite best stunts and choreography of the year?
Hey there, everybody. I'm Ryan Jacob, and thank you, Zach and Art, for having me on here to present this year's Intercutie nominees and the winner of the Best Stunts/Choreography of 2024. But before we get to the winner, I do want to mention the runner-ups that were nominated by this year's Intercuties, and those nominees are The Shadow Strays, Thelma, Blink Twice, Kill, Dune Part 2, Challengers, and Monkey Man. And the winner for the Intercutie Award for Best Stunts/Choreography of 2024 goes to... It's actually a tie between The Fall Guy and Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. Not a bad year for action movies, if I do say so myself. All right, guys, keep going to the movie theaters. Thank you, Zach and Art, for having me on here. Back to you guys.
Moving on to the best sound category, we're kicking things off at number 10 with the cartoonish wackiness of Hundreds of Beavers.
Up next, we have Alien Romulus, a movie so eerie they were putting the sound through VHS tapes so it sounded like the original Alien.
At number 8, the dulcet tones of Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown make you feel like you're at the Newport Festival yourself.
Ooh. At number 7, we have Wicked, a movie where it's a completely different on-set recording than the OST you hear online.
At number 6, we're going with Nosferatu, a movie whose soundscape just might make you feel like you're getting haunted as well.
It followed me home. The other one that followed me home was our number 5 spot, Smile 2. Just, without spoilers, because of a piece of flesh that keeps falling throughout the movie. If you're not squeamish, give this one a try.
And speaking of flesh, our number 4 pick is The Substance for all of its skin-splitting, substance-spewing, wacky, gory body horrorness. There's so many strange sounds in that movie, and the only way that those visuals work is if the sound accompanies them properly.
I did not need to know what a chicken drum sounded like coming out of a belly, but okay, we now know. And number
How
3,
about
we may have not
Dennis
talked...
Quaid sucking on shrimp sounds. Ugh.
that in and of itself, full horror right there. And number 3 is a movie we may have not mentioned yet, but it is Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, a film that takes advantage not only of its Dolby, but its IMAX, all of it, to fully put you into this immersive experience from the man who did Fury Road. Trust, he did not come in and give us a fluke with this one.
At number 2, we're talking again about Alex Garland's Civil War, a film that comes booming out of the speakers and shakes you with its sounds of domestic warfare.
Those are like actual sounds of warfare that they shot with the help they got. But nothing will beat the warfare from beyond the stars in Dune Part 2, a full embodiment of a movie from picture, sound, all of it. Some may say it would be ridiculous to honor this movie and not give it Best Director. But this is the Intercut Awards, and here we go. Dune Part 2, our number 1 sound in cinema this year.
Yeah, a movie that sounds incredible. It's part of what transports you to Arrakis. But will the Intercuties agree with us and give Dune Part 2 the Best Sound Award?
Hey guys, I'm Connor, and I'm here to present the nominees for the Best Sound Award for the Intercut Awards, as well as the winner. So we have Dune Part 2, I Saw the TV Glow, A Complete Unknown, Nosferatu, Substance, The Brutalist, Challengers, and Civil War. And the winner was Dune Part 2, which I will not disagree with at all. That movie has incredible sound design. But thanks again to Art and Zach who let me interject with one of these announcements.
Our next category is the Best Original Score, the thing that ties the whole movie together in the background. I begin with number 10 and The Wild Robot, a movie that really embodies its music as the characters finally come to fruition.
And number 9 is the haunting score for Nosferatu that inhabits the sounds of Dracula.
And number 8 is Nickel Boys, a story jumping a little bit through time as it adapts the book of these boys who were taken away in a very dreary time in American history.
At number 7 is Dabney Morris's score for Sometimes I Think About Dying, which sets the tone of ennui and existentialism perfectly.
And number 6 is I Saw the TV Glow, a complete package from Alex G's score to an entire soundtrack that envelops the movie as you follow a character finally coming to.
And number 5 is The Substance, whose score emphasizes the body horror going on in the story of entertainment industry.
At number 4, we have Conclave, and a score that helps embody everything dealing with this mystery as all of these Catholics come together to figure out who's next, or maybe even who did it.
At number 3, it might have been disqualified from the Oscars, but we gotta shout out the incredible score from Hans Zimmer for Dune Part 2.
And then we have our top 2. 2 scores that honestly almost tied for us.
Yeah, undeniable ones.
We begin with the Brutalist score, and especially that intro landing scene for the ship. A score that feels like you're not just arriving into America, but feels like the reversal of Jaws, where it's not the danger coming to you, but you coming to the danger.
Yeah, but as much as we love Daniel Bloomberg's work in The Brutalist, we could not deny Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who made an incredible score with their work on Challengers and turned that whole movie into a European club.
And I feel confident that the Intercuties are bumping to the exact same soundtrack.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jeremiah Battle. You may know me from TikTok at jeremiah.battle, or you may know me as the guy who sometimes holds the mic at Letterboxd. Today, we are here to discuss the nominees and the Intercutie Award winner for the category of Best Score. A great score can make an already good movie into a phenomenal one. The Intercut nominations for Best Score are as followed: Dune Part 2, The Brutalist, Conclave, Challengers, A Different Man, Queer, and Saturday Night. And the Intercut Award for Best Score goes to no other than Challengers. Such a vibrant, fun, and phenomenal pick for Best Score. Thanks for having me. Happy Intercut Awards, but I gotta go. I think I'm gonna go listen to that Challenger soundtrack. Peace.
Now we move on to the Best Film Editing category, and we started off with a movie that is 3.5 hours long, but feels like it's at least 2.5 hours. The Brutalist, which is propulsive despite its length, which lets you know just how precisely crafted that movie is.
One of the most funly edited movies was It's What's Inside, doing some very interesting things as it follows a group of friends who all kind of want to be each other.
At number 8, we have Strange Darling, a twisty, turning story that gets a lot of its innovation through the unique format.
At number 7, we have Anora that has the audacity to just stop the movie in some scenes, but is also edited by the writer-director Sean Baker himself. A comedy, a drama, something about society, however you take Anora, it is definitely one of the best edited movies of the year, coming in at number 7.
At number 6, we have I Saw the TV Glow, the haunting story of a life not chosen to live.
At number 5, we have The Substance, about a life they should not have chosen to live.
At number 4, we have Conclave, the suspenseful story of the search for a new pope.
At number 3, we have Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. I swear the edits change when I rewatch this movie. It's so smart.
At number 2, we have Dune Part 2, which despite its epic length, also is a breezy fun time.
But at number 1, we have the one movie that had us on the edge of our seat throughout. A love triangle that we followed so simply. It was really just about whose side you were on. Challengers, the movie about volleyball or tennis, and the tennis is really sex, and the sex is really the tennis, and it's really their love. And the editing is what brings it all together. Challengers at number 1.
It's so rhythmic, back and forth, just like a tennis match. Could not pick a better choice for editing this year. And maybe the Intercuties agree with us. Which movie won the Intercutie Award?
Hey, I'm Intercut editor Caitlin Wiedeker, and I'm here to present the Intercutie Award for Best Editing of 2024. The runner-ups were Nickel Boys, edited by Nicholas Mansour; It's What's Inside, edited by Greg Jardin; The Brutalist, edited by David Jansko; Dune Part 2, edited by Joe Walker; Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, edited by Elliot Knapman and Margaret Sixel; and Anora, edited by Sean Baker. But the Intercutie Award for Best Editing goes to Challengers, edited by Marco Costa.
Our next category is Best Aesthetic. That means that we're covering the production design, we're covering the makeup, we're covering the costumes, we're covering all that stuff that a lot of people like to say goes to auteurs, but really becomes the entire look of the film, the feel of the film. And we begin with Sasquatch Sunset, a movie that may not make everyone's radar, but through and through changed those actors into real Sasquatch and had us saying, oh, whatever the hell they said. There you go.
At number 9 on Best Film Aesthetic, we're going with A Different Man. It has this really interesting, textured, grainy look, but also lends the whole film this griminess that speaks to the discomfort at the heart of its characters.
At number 8, we have one of the most fascinating approaches to an adaptation, and where you follow these characters through the perspective of a POV from their point of view, where they're manning the cameras until they set that in your mind and shift it in a way that gave me goosebumps. Number 8 is Nickel Boys.
Number 7 is goosebump inducing in its own way. Jane Schoenbrun's I Saw the TV Glow has such a unique palette and distinctive look to it. So many of its images feel instantly iconic.
Another one that has those building blocks for an aesthetic is The Brutalist, the story of an architect genius who ends up creating a monument that may kind of embody his entire career, if not almost become the death of him. Number 6, we got The Brutalist.
Number 5 is Hundreds of Beavers, a movie that combines its black and white style with a Looney Tunes verve and all sorts of cartoonish and video game elements to it. It's a really unique and singular style of movie.
Number 4 has a character named Scrotus and Erectus, so you already know it's going to be doing something different, but never in all my years that I think I would see vibrant colors out of Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, unlike any other film out there. And it's crazy to think, a big inspiration is South Park. Who would have thought?
At number 3, we're going with Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2, one of the cleanest looking sci-fi films out there. Its images of Arrakis are transporting and incredible, but that's not even talking about the incredible infrared moments in that movie.
Bruh, it's so insane. Now everyone's going to try to take that as well. And number 2, another one that people are going to copy because it's so good. People don't even want to call it a remake. They want to call it a reimagining for Nosferatu. Stunning cinematography, stunning production design, a shot where he comes to become the plague over the town that will send chills down your spine. But a movie so good that people really think they could fix them.
Yeah, it's hard to not pick Nosferatu for number 1 in this slot because any movie from Robert Eggers is going to have immaculate production design. But it's also hard to not go with the movie we have at number 1, which is instantly iconic in its own way. Coralie Farge's The Substance, from its like white tiled lined walls to the bottle of the light green activator. So many of the images in this movie feel so distinctive and so all their own. It is hard film to get out of your brain visually once you've seen it, and it's one of the standouts from this past year.
It inverts its homages so well that it becomes so original. People out of Sundance were talking about, oh my gosh, we've got more movies like The Substance.
Right.
What's your shirt have? What shirt are you wearing, Zach? I think we've had this genre for a while. But that's when you know an aesthetic has hit. The Substance at our number 1 spot. But the Intercuties may have chosen something similar.
Hello, I'm here to present the award for Best Film Aesthetic. There was a lot of votes this year that went to The Substance, Dune Part 2, I Saw the TV Glow, Queer, Wicked, Furiosa, and Problemista, but there's just one spot up the top. And the winner of Best Film Aesthetic is Nosferatu. I mean, it's Robert Eggers, so like his entire thing is aesthetics.
Moving on to our Best Cinematography Intercut Award. At number 10, we're going with Andres Arocchi's work on Longlegs, the Oz Perkins film, lending it a creepy, muted color palette as well as a really distinctive style to the flat Fincherian kind of look it adopts.
Next up, we have Wyatt Garfield cinematography for A Different Man, showcasing somebody who definitely doesn't want to live the life that they're in, only to then kind of switch it up on them when they finally get everything they thought they wanted.
At number 8, we're going the flashy style of Benjamin Krakoon's work on The Substance, one of the most visually dynamic films of the last year.
I also got Stefan Fontaine's work in Conclave because no one's made vaping cardinals look as cool as he has.
At number 6, Sayambu Muktipram's work on Challengers, whether it's shooting the tennis from beneath a clear floor or just putting the camera in the tennis ball. There's so many iconic looks in this movie.
Furiosa had some really good shots, as we've been mentioning throughout, so of course we have to honor Simon Duggan for the work that he's done here.
Nickel Boys, one of the most unique approaches to a film we've seen in a while, with its first-person perspective cameras and other looks as well. You have to single out Jomo Frey, who does incredible work here with the camera.
Another pop-up for the man. All Dirt Roads also was another nomination for him. A big Intercutie shout-out right there. At number 3, we have The Brutalist and Lowell Crawley's work, taking 70mm shots on 35 by using VistaVision. They were mathematically mopping people with what they were shooting for this film. There's been talks outside of how they've edited, but nonetheless, it is a staggering piece of cinema to behold, especially if you got to see it on film.
At number 2, we have perhaps our foremost cinematographer of blockbusters right now. And Greg Fraser cannot be denied, whether it's his work on Dune or other projects. He's just a man who has an eye for scope and for epic scale.
So you know that our number 1 has to be jaw-droppingly good if we're putting it up against Dune. Jaron Blaschke's work for Nosferatu is insane. It is otherworldly, and there is one particular shot, if I could overlay it here, that blew me away and is easily the reason why we're putting it as our number 1 cinematography of 2025.
Yeah, it's such a distinctive and amazing look to the whole film, and Jaron Blaschke always brings such great work to those Robert Eggers properties. But I'm curious whether or not the Intercuties agree with their award.
Hey everyone, my name is Trevor Adams, here to present the 2025 Intercutie Award for Best Cinematography. The nominees as voted on by the Intercuties are Lowell Crawley for The Brutalist, Greg Fraser for Dune Part 2, Eric Yui for I Saw the TV Glow, Jomo Frey for Nickel Boys, Jaron Blaschke for Nosferatu, and Sayumbu Muktipram for Queer. And the winner is Greg Fraser for Dune Part 2. With cinematographers using uncommon ways of shooting, such as using infrared cameras, only time will tell what will catch our eye in 2025 and beyond.
Keeping it going, we have our screenplay categories, and we begin with adapted. All of the movies that come from something. Even if it's a picture book like our number 10 spot, The Bike Riders. A very fascinating take on what this group was like just off of the pictures that a journalist took off of them.
At number 9, we're going with the film that is adapted from the book Dylan Goes Electric, is A Complete Unknown, which takes a more zoomed in perspective on the biopic to tell a smaller part of the story of Bob Dylan.
At number 8, we have Nosferatu and Eggers' take, where he actually had people sympathizing for Nosferatu himself, even though I would have written something different than a mustache. Number 8, Nosferatu.
At number 7 is the film Sing Sing, based on the true story of men who are imprisoned and turn to acting in theater as a form of rehabilitation.
At number 6, we have one of the wackiest stories in Hitman, a movie that is supposed to be true about a guy who pretended to be a hitman for hire in order to arrest all these people, but then they take different turns with the story, and all I know is that whether it's real or not, it leads to one of the most invigorating scenes with that app notes scene.
At number 5, we're going with the Brazilian film I'm Still Here, which follows a woman trying to keep her family together after the disappearance of her husband.
At number 4, we have the drafts before Fury Road. In order to be able to make that movie, George Miller created an entire draft for Furiosa's prequel, as well as what was happening with Tom Hardy's character. I'm gonna tell you, he was on the same energy he was when he was writing Fury Road, and that's why we have Furiosa at number 4.
At number 3 in adapted screenplay, we're going with Dune Part 2, the continuation of the epic sail on Arrakis.
At number 2, we have one of the best adaptations with Nickel Boys, finding a clever way to put you in the shoes of those who did not understand what was going on in front of them.
But at number 1, we have the movie that I've affectionately referred to as Papal Game of Thrones or House of Cardinals. It is, of course, the suspense thriller Conclave.
But did the Intercuties agree with us?
What's up, guys? I'm here to announce the winner in the adapted screenplay category. But first, here are some more top vote getters. My favorite, Dune Part 2, Nickel Boys, Sing Sing, Queer, Furiosa, Mad Max Saga, and small things like these. But the winner is Conclave. Thanks for having me.
For the award for Best Original Screenplay at number 10, we're going with Sean Baker's story of a stripper who sees a life of luxury dangled in front of her in Honora.
At number 9, we have the South by Southwest indie flick that really stood with me called Pure O, about a man who's going through a very particular form of OCD and writes a script where he really uses therapy to help people through it.
At number 8, we have Julio Terrace's wildly original story of an immigrant running out of time on his work visa, the hilarious Problemista.
At number 7, we have the drama Exhibiting Forgiveness that comes from a painter turned director who understands the use of his drawings in order to be able to showcase his emotions. A movie stacked with a great cast, and will have you crying by the end of it.
At number 6, we have Coralie Farge's crazy maximalist story about self-love and beauty standards in the entertainment industry. We have The Substance.
At number 5, we have one of my favorite scripts of the year, A Real Pain, that actually takes Jesse Eisenberg's experience and compares history to what he's going through with his own family. A Real Pain at number 5.
At number 4, Jane Schoenbrun's story of the paths we go down and the regrets we have, The Haunting I Saw the TV Glow.
At number 3, we probably have the most clever script here. A Different Man is a movie that understands who it's casting and how it's playing him in order to become and answer the questions you already have after watching a movie with someone with a disability. It is so smart, you just need to embrace it. Out on HBO, give it a watch. A Different Man.
Yeah, there's so much to unpack in that Different Man script, and there's likewise a lot to unpack in the script for our number 2 film from Brady Corbet and Monica Fastvold. It's The Brutalist, a massive story of immigration as well as the curdling of the American dream.
Honestly, if that's what being a filmmaker is like, I'll stick to podcasting. At number 1 is the one we've been shouting out from the top of the mountain since the beginning of the year, Challengers. Such a smart script on who is in love with who. I'll put it to you this way. I heard someone break down who is rock, who is paper, and who is scissors. It almost makes you reimagine the whole movie. One of the smartest, slickest scripts of the year. Continue working with each other. Challengers at number 1.
It's an amazing script. Do the Intercuties agree with us, though, that it is the best script, original script of 2024?
Come on. Honor Justin. Honor Justin.
Hello, Intercut. It's Michael Ashby here to present the 2025 Intercutie Award for Best Original Screenplay. Screenwriting is an art form that has existed for years and years. And here, in the year of 2025, we're here to present the best screenplays from 2024. Without further ado, let's get right to those nominations. You have A Real Pain, A Different Man, Honora, Challengers, Rebel Ridge, and I Saw the TV Glow. And the 2025 Intercutie Award for Best Original Screenplay goes to Sean Baker, Honora. Honora is probably one of the greatest films of the year and has an absolutely fantastic screenplay. And of course, I was repping the merch you can buy at neon.com. Go see Honora. It's still playing in theaters. Been playing since October. What are you doing if you haven't seen it?
We move on to the best ensemble casting, in where we look at the best group of actors to come together in order to really push the movie forward. And one of the best ensembles of the year was September 5th. This is a movie where you have really good character actors all in one room reenacting that ABC studio live recording of the terrorist Munich attacks.
At number 9, we have a film that's all about the ensemble, Sing Sing, a movie in which Coleman Domingo's character has to learn to trust his ensemble around him.
At number 8, they don't trust the ensemble around them, as we've been mentioning in Challengers, but boy, does it make for a really good back and forth.
At number 7, we have the movie about old friends reuniting and maybe swapping spots. It's What's Inside.
At number 6, we do have actors swapping spots for all 3 anthology films in Kinds of Kindness. A very interesting take on cults, loved ones. So many different layers in this. I don't think I fully understand it, but they were locked in as a cast.
3 might be the magic number in 2024 because our number 5 pick is His Three Daughters, the story of estranged siblings coming together to take care of their father in hospice.
At number 4, we have Nosferatu, which has an ensemble that I think is fantastic, especially because you have actors who are not afraid to enter a realm of cringe, where people may not take it the way it's supposed to, but are willing to put it all out there. And only a director like this can ensemble people in Nosferatu.
And number 3, we have a film that has some of the strongest performances of any movie this year.
Easily.
We'll talk about some of those later, but for now, we are awarding The Brutalist in our ensemble category.
At number 2, we have another Sean Baker film. I feel it's an annual category for him because nobody casts things like he does in Anora, where you don't even know if they're real actors. Did they find them off the street? The way he blends them in is exactly why this needs to be honored in the top 2 spots.
Yeah, that's a movie, and this is true of all of Baker's movies, where you don't know where the world of the movie ends and the real world begins because he's just so good at filling every single role.
I had people looking at Mikey differently too. It's like, I know why you got that without having something.
But our choice for the best ensemble cast from the past year has got to go to the papal thriller Conclave, where each cardinal is hiding a secret worse than the last.
Each wannabe pope. Conclave, number 1. But the best ensemble can go to so many other movies. Maybe they had a pick that really spoke to them. The Intercuties. They've got.
Our ensemble of voters chose which ensemble.
Hi there, I'm Charlie Bryce, and I'm here to present the Intercutie nominees and winner for Best Ensemble. The top 5 nominees as chosen by the Intercuties were Anora, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Saturday Night, and Sing Sing. But the winner is Anora. So there is a light shining on the Anora team's greatest days. An incredible film with a hilarious ensemble. And just a huge thank you to Zach and Art for letting me present this award.
Our next category is for the best role player, somebody whose acting might go a bit unsung because it's not quite on the level of a supporting performance, but these are the roles that movies would not be the same without. So we want to shout out some of these performances, and starting with Kyle Gallner for his role at the beginning of Smile 2, helping set the tone for that movie.
Incredible one take on that one. We keep it going with Kinds of Kindness, in particular Willem Dafoe and Joe Alwyn, 2 actors who come in and always shake everything up, and I believe is like Willem's 10th role from last year.
At number 8, we're going with RZA for his work in Problemista as the departed husband of Tilda Swinton's character, a much gentler and more nuanced role that I think we're used to seeing from RZA.
At number 7, we have a performance from Longlegs, who actually is like Osgood Perkins' Lucky Charm. Kiernan Shipka comes from one scene and absolutely steals the show as someone who clearly has been getting haunted by Longlegs way before the movie started.
At number 6, we're going with a standout from the film Sometimes I Think About Dying, and that's Marcia Debonis.
At number 5 from Sing Sing, we have John Divine G. Woodfield, the person who the story is based on, makes an appearance in the movie and almost steals it from the actual main actors nominated for Oscars.
At number 4, we're going with the Scene Stealer from A Complete Unknown. It's the second time that James Mangold has directed a film with Johnny Cash in it. And this might be one of the more memorable performances. We're going with Boyd Holbrook.
Ring of Fire 2, please. Let's do it. At number 3, we have a stand-up performance from one of the biggest ensemble casts in Saturday Night, and that's Corey Michael Smith, the easiest one to make us laugh, to stand out. And he's been doing this since May, December when he had that side role as the son.
Yeah, it really just convinces you that he could be Chevy Chase. It's incredible work. At number 2, we are going with Bad Boys Ride or Die and the return of Reggie. Dennis Green showing up and just stealing the film.
Absolutely fantastic. Reggie's been waiting a decade for that one right there. But at number 1, we have one that the moment Zach saw it, he already knew this is the reason why you make a role player award like this. Channing Tatum in Deadpool and Wolverine. He came in here and just took it all from that New Orleans flow. I'm just kidding. It's Jesse Plemons in Civil War. The reason why you have a category like this. One scene, and even people who hate the movie quote it. What kind of American are you? From Civil War.
And we even toyed with the idea of not including him in the nominees and just naming the category after him because it is so clearly the scene-stealing performance from the last year. It's an incredible feat of acting, and it's the easy winner for us for role player. Would not be surprised if the Intercuties felt the same way.
Hi, my name is Matt, and I'm here to present the Intercutie nominees and winner for Best Role Player in a Film in 2024. The nominees are Sean Dino Johnson for Sing Sing, Jason Schwartzman for Queer, Sergio Castellito for Conclave, and the winner, by an absolute landslide, and I'm shocked that y'all don't only have this in mind, is Jesse Plemons in Civil War. I mean, that man just stole that movie in like 5 minutes. Thank you guys for having me. I see you guys next time. Adios.
Now we get into the big performers, beginning with the supporting. We like to combine all of our actors into one, and you may even be surprised because we don't play what the studios play. If you're not supporting to us, you are not supporting to us. But we begin with the number 10 spot with a true supporting performance, Anjanou Ellis in Nickel Boys. She has an embrace in this movie that you could feel from wherever you're watching it. Anjanou Ellis, number 10, secured.
At number 9, we're going with the hot dynamic between the lead of this film and this supporting performance. The film would not be the same without Adria Arjona and her work in Hitman.
At number 8, we have the face of the movie, Adam Pearson from A Different Man, elevating this performance into something that really causes Sebastian Stan to take a look at what he wants, but then also has the entire audience questioning what we were going to expect from this movie. Adam Pearson kills it at our number 8 spot.
At number 7, she might not be Lisan Al-Gaib, but it's her eyes that we're stuck with at the end of Dune Part 2. It is Zendaya.
At number 6, I don't trust this man since Dexter, since Farquaad, and in Conclave, he still brings that energy. John Lithgow is a man who could be lying and telling the truth to your face. You'd have to ask God to give you discernment on which way it goes. At our number 6 spot, John Lithgow in Conclave.
At number 5, it is perhaps the most deranged performance of his career, but it also might be the best one. Chris Hemsworth, who is incredible in Furiosa.
Look, people are going to split on who they liked in Challengers, but y'all can argue that in the comments. Number 4 is Josh O'Connor, the best one from the trio.
At number 3, an incredible actress in a way that I don't think we've ever quite seen her before. The hilarious turn from Tilda Swinton as a motor mouth complainer in Problemista.
It's good notes to take from her there. At number 2, we have Guy Pearce in The Brutalist. And simply put, you know it's a really good year when Guy Pearce's incredible performance from The Brutalist is coming in at number 2. But there was one thing that easily mopped it.
Absolutely. And it's an actor who is known for throwing himself into projects and going full method on his roles. But the result are some transcendent work on screen. And I think you can lump this in with the rest. Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice, who is absolutely transformational, embodying Roy Cohn. It is a remarkable piece of acting. You totally forget you're watching the actor and you just see the man.
Thank you, Arturo and Zach. How about a quick round of applause for all the fans of the show, friends of the show, former guests showing up and contributing, making this our best Intercut Awards yet. It really means a lot to get everybody involved and do this video together. Thanks to all of you who contributed, or to those of you who are just watching and supporting the show. Special thanks to all of our paid patrons and members, whether they are on Patreon or right here on YouTube. They're following the show and supporting us. Their names are on the screen right now if you're watching the video, but they are very important to our show, and we couldn't keep doing this without them. I do have another category to present, the Intercutie Award for supporting performance, because we had a bunch of vote getters, including people like Bill Skarsgård in Nosferatu, Kaylee Spaney in Civil War, Adria Arjona in Hitman, Yura Borisov in Anora, Jack Haven in I Saw the TV Glow, Chris Hemsworth in Furiosa, Clarence Macklin in Sing Sing, Josh O'Connor in Challengers, Margaret Qualley in The Substance. Qualley. I don't know why I said Qualley. Well, I kind of know, but that's a whole other story. But none of them were the ultimate winner of this category, in which Zoe Saldana doesn't appear. That's a whole other story as well. The winner for the Intercutie Award for Best Supporting Performance of 2024 goes to Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain. Congratulations to him. Congratulations to Jesse Eisenberg on that movie. And let's go back over to Zach and Arturo for the rest of the Intercut Awards.
Kicking off the Intercut Awards for Best Lead Performance in a Movie in the number 10 slot, we're going with the full-bodied work of Lily Rose Depp in Nosferatu, who lets herself be completely occupied by the spirit.
Speaking of the spirit, Ralph Fiennes giving a speech in Conclave about certainty. The that's going to last and stay with me for years.
At number 8, we have the tortured work of Demi Moore in The Substance.
At number 7, Colman Domingo does one of the best performances of his life, embodying the prisoners in Sing Sing.
At number 6, we have the transcendent Fernanda Torres in I'm Still Here.
At number 5, Sebastian Stan could have gotten this for multiple roles, but we are going for A Different Man.
At number 4, we have a performance that some consider supporting, but we know he fully takes over this movie. It's Kieran Culkin in A Real Pain.
At number 3, we have a role that we were really hoping was going to get more recognition. Maureen Jean-Baptiste for Hard Truths, a performance that has you so aggravated, but the secret is in making you actually sympathize with her. A powerhouse performance that needs more recognition.
Absolutely. Perhaps my favorite performance of the year. But our number 2 best performance of the year is going to Mikey Madison in Honora, who completely transforms herself for this part in Sean Baker's movie.
Incredible performance, but I may have another one here with Adrian Brody in The Brutalist. The youngest to ever win it back in the day for The Pianist, and coming back over here to secure his spot. As we believe, he embodies this role to perfection. I also love how he always talks about how he kind of takes a little bit of the director, and for a movie like The Brutalist, where it's about a person who's a creative being used by their producer, he may have played it too close to the chest there, but Adrian Brody demolishes this role for The Brutalist.
But is he our Intercutie selection for the best lead performance of the year as well? Only one way to find out.
Hey everyone, I'm Josh, and I have been very kindly asked to announce the winner and nominees for the Intercutie Award for Best Lead Performance. The nominees are Adrian Brody, The Brutalist; Demi Moore, The Substance; Sebastian Stan, A Different Man; Justice Smith, I Saw the TV Glow; Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Hard Truths; Hugh Grant for Heretic; Ray Fiennes, Conclave; Lily Rose Depp, Nosferatu; Daniel Craig, Queer; Timothée Chalamet, Dune Part 2; and Sebastian Stan for Apprentice, and Mikey Madison for Honora. And the winner is Mikey Madison for Honora. I'm so happy she won because that's one of my favorite performances of the year. Thank you guys for allowing me to keep introducing these awards. It's incredible. I love you guys. You are my favorite podcasters. So yeah, thank you. Peace.
Our next category is for Best Up-and-Comers, and we've divided it between filmmakers and actors, people who have made their first film, or some juvenile performers who are new to our screens. Let's start things off with the filmmakers, and at number 10, we have Ali Panku for their work on I Used to Be Funny. Number 9, we have Richard Pepiat for his work on Kneecap. And number 8, we have the haunted work from Arkasha Stevenson on The First Omen. At number 7, we have Anna Kendrick's thrilling and upsetting work on Woman of the Hour. At number 6, we're giving some love to Chris Nash for his gory feast of violence in A Violent Nature. At number 5, one of the best directors of the year, and probably could be higher on this list if we weren't already awarding him in other categories, but want to at least include Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys, who does such great work for that film. At number 4, we have Jason Yu, the director of Sleep, the haunting Korean film. And number 3, we have Dylan Tucker's work on Pure O, a really amazing documentation of living with mental illness. And number 2, Greg Jardin's funny, suspenseful, and thrilling It's What's Inside. And then number 1, the delightful coming-of-age comedy Dee Dee from Sean Wang.
I'll be taking care of all of the young performers who are up on the come up, starting with number 10's my old ass, Macy Stella, a performer who's about to come up in the horizon. She is hilarious, and it turns out she's inspired a lot of other big actors out there, even singers. At number 9, we have the duo of Blake Cameron James and John Knight Ramirez from We Grow Now, the two little boys just trying to make it in Cabrini Green. At number 8, we have Bird from Mubi with Nakia Adams' performance as she tries to just make it on her own because, hey, her father, Barry Keogh, he ain't gonna do much for her. At number 7, we have Nico Parker in Suncoast, someone who comes from a really big acting talent, now making it on her own. And it's going to be exciting to see what she has in store. At number 6, Ian Foreman surprised me in 2 roles. He played the youngin' in I Saw the TV Glow, and then did it again in Exhibiting Forgiveness and demolished both roles. I cannot wait to see more from him. Aaliyah Brown also had several movies under her belt. We're talking Young Furiosa. She was Maria in Sonic 3, and then was going up against a CGI spider in Sting. So a lot coming from her in the future. A big shout out at our number 4 spot to Elliot Heffernan in Blitz, being able to take and lead a movie where Saoirse is going to be the second up. At number 3, we have another one for Didi, but this time for the young actor Isaac Wong, finally getting a lead performance. At number 2, we have Lily Collins for Good One, a movie that's so patient, but her performance blew me away. But at number 1, we have someone who's embodying their mother in this movie, Zoe Ziegler for Janet Planet, another filmmaker who we definitely have our eyes on.
Hi everyone, it's Juli and I'm here to present the Intercutie nominees and winner for Best Up-and-Comer of 2024, given to the Best First-Time Narrative Feature Filmmaker. The runner-ups, as chosen by the Intercuties, were Chris Nash for In a Violent Nature, Pat Boonity-Pat for How to Make Millions Before Grandma Dies, Anna Kendrick for Woman of the Hour, Dev Patel for Monkey Man, Zoe Kravitz for Don't Blink Twice, Sean Wang for Didi, Greg Jordan for It's What's Inside, and the winner of the Intercutie Award for Best Up-and-Comer is Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys.
Rounding things out here with the Intercut Award for Best Director, and we'll start it out at number 10 with Jane Schoenbrunn for their work on I Saw the TV Glow.
At number 9, we have George Miller's work in Furiosa. He better not be one of those other filmmakers where y'all not funding his next project and then we lose him. Please give George his money.
At number 8, we have Edward Berger for his work on Conclave, yet another edge of your seat piece of filmmaking from Edward Berger.
At number 7, we have Ramel Ross for Nickel Boys, who already has an Oscar nomination for the documentary that he did. He's got more nominations under his belt, and I know we're going to see a lot more from him coming up.
At number 6, we have Sean Baker's work on Honora, a propulsive and funny piece of filmmaking that is in line with what we've come to expect from one of our most dynamic filmmakers.
At number 5, Coralie Farge, the 9th woman. Did you know in the Oscars we don't even have a top 10 in terms of nominations? But not here. I think we've already mopped the Oscars. Coralie Farge for The Substance, killing it when it comes to body horror.
Definitely. At number 4, we have a graduate from Body Horror, getting into something a little more sensual, a little more sexy, and a little more athletic with number 4's Challengers from Luca Guadagnino.
At number 3, the Oscars don't want to give him any love, so we're still kind of snubbing him and putting him at number 3. But Denis Villeneuve for Dune Part 2, carrying everything that he needs to create this epic sci-fi where we've got one more to go.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's still our top 5, right? That's something.
Always. But they snapped. These next two.
Yeah, I mean, at number 2, we have a man who might pay more meticulous attention to detail than any other filmmaker working right now. All of his films feel like they're ripped out of a different period of history. None more so, perhaps, than his work on Nosferatu. It is, of course, Robert Eggers.
It's like our David Fincher if he was stuck making folk tales. Shout out Robert Eggers. But our number 1, Brady Corbet for The Brutalist, a movie that he put his heart and soul into with his producing and life partner Mona. And I think it's a film that the more you revisit it, the more you learn from it. As Zach has been saying, it's 3 hours and a half, but it feels like a 2-hour movie. And it is a story that I think is going to last a while and may even be the best picture people remember out of this year.
Yeah, it is probably the most ambitious movie that I've seen in the past year. And that alone makes me respect the hell out of his work here. But it's not just ambition. Like, there's so much to the film that is worth paying attention to. And it all starts with his vision.
Like, the fact that it's 10 mil and you're like, no, that felt like it was a lot more. That's
Right.
when you're using your funds the way you're supposed to. That's also when you're making the connections and making sure that you're able to use the things that you need to. It's how he saved on film. It's how he saved on locations. And that's where you honor a director who knows how to get the project made. Brady Corbet, you knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. But he might not have done enough to win the Intercutie Award for Best Director of the Year.
What is up, everybody? Alan here, aka Random Man or RRM, presenting for the second year in a row Best Director. Now, before I announce the winner, I would like to mention the other top vote getters in this category, which include Sean Baker, Honora, Luca Guadagnino, Challengers, Corley Farja, The Substance, Brady Corbet, The Brutalist, and Jane Schunbrunn, I Saw the TV Glow. And the winner is, as it is written, Denis Villeneuve, Dune Part 2. Congratulations.
And now we wrap it up with the Best Picture. Here on Intercut, we have given you our personal top 10s along with Amanda the Jedi. You can check that video out on the channel. But here, these are the movies that we just feel define the year. When we look back on it, we want to see the films that people think of when you look back at 2024. And that's why we're beginning at number 10 with the indie that really could. Hundreds of Beavers getting screener after screener at your local art house theater. It had the funk to make it all the way to the top, and it's a film that we have to honor. I don't think anybody, even Sonic, had better posters making like fun of other movies and parodying them than the love that Hundreds of Beavers had. At our number 10 spot, we're solidifying it.
At number 9, we have the arrival of Glenn Powell before Twisters, when he really arrived. We have one of the more sensual, fun, sexy movies of the year. And we have a Netflix release that pretty much everybody was able to watch simultaneously. It is Hitman, making the number 9 slot.
Should have been in theaters. At number 8, we have A Real Pain, the movie that really touched our hearts at the beginning of Sundance from last year and has stuck with us all the way through with its performances, with its script, and a movie's tale that honestly really covers grief and pain and history in a way a lot of other indie films have not.
At number 7, we have a movie that's taking a different view on nostalgia than we normally get, one that is exploring it for the pain that lurks underneath and the trauma that it might hide. It is I Saw the TV Glow.
Speaking of hiding trauma, nothing is going to be a deeper cut than when people finally rewatch Nickel Boys, or I should say watch it for the first time. A movie that did not get the release it should have, but is a film so profound in its way that it tells its story that people are going to be revisiting this one for years to come.
At number 5, we have a movie that starts as an uproarious comedy and then becomes something a bit more tense and more emotional, but it is extremely entertaining from start to finish. It is Honora.
At number 4, it's hard to say it's even a remake because the original was copyright infringement, but boy did he make it yet another classic with Robert Eggers' Nosferatu. A tale as old as time and one that continues to be reinvigorated.
And number 3 is a story about artists and patrons. It's a story about America and immigrants. And it's a story about how badly Adrian Brody deserves another Oscar. It is The Brutalist.
A brutal award season this year. But as we keep it, we are down to our top 2 spots. And I'm getting word. Yes? Yep. I believe, yep. With no halftime show, we wrap up this top 10 best pictures with a tie. And I gotta take the one like we had it the first year. We did a tie for part 1, so let me begin it with my part 2. Dune Part 2 defines the year for us. It's a film that when we traveled, we sought out a 143 IMAX theater to truly experience it the way people should. Thanks to movies like this and the Oppenheimers of the world, we've really been able to push movies, cinema, not just streaming, but a reason for people to go out and actually appreciate the art form. Shout out to Dune Part 2.
Absolutely. I think on Intercut, we really try to find films that are intellectually stimulating, that are examples of high levels of film craft, and also films that are just flat out entertaining. That's kind of like the holy trinity of things that we want out of a movie. Those are all things that Dune Part 2 provided, and those are definitely things that were provided by our other choice for number 1 film of the year, Luca Guadagnino's Challengers. Just undeniable good times at the movies. Films that we not only saw eagerly, but saw again eagerly and will see again eagerly. Movies that we can't put down, that we feel like all of you had trouble putting down as well.
You know it's a Best Picture movie. It's a movie that defined the year when you're still talking about it and it's not playing on a screen. And all 10 of these movies fit that criteria.
Absolutely. So those are the 10 movies that make our cut. We still need to find out what the Intercuties chose, though, as their film of the year 2024.
Let us know.
Howdy, Intercuties. We are here with the Intercutie Awards of the Year. And I can tell based on your, these are Film of the Year awards. And I can tell that you watch the Intercut podcast based on your short list of nominees. We have Challengers, which is my personal favorite. Honora, which is another one of my personal favorites. Furiosa, which I haven't seen yet. The Substance, Sing Sing, and of course, Dune Part 2. But which one won? Which one did you guys like the most? I'm going to be honest. I'm torn. I'm torn on my opinion of what you guys chose, because the winner of Intercutie Movie of the Year, your choice, Dune Part 2. Denis Villeneuve getting his flowers. I'm glad you guys at least got Challengers nominated in this category. Unlike the Oscars, uncultured swine, you guys are classy. And Dune 2 is our winner, which is happy by me. Good night.
So that does it for this edition of the Intercut Awards, the 2025 Intercut Awards for the year 2024, however you want to organize that. These are the movies, the performances, the crafts people, all the elements of movies that we really, really loved this year. Let us know what you think about our choices. Let us know what your choices would have been and whether or not we agreed with you, or maybe if the Intercuties agreed with you too. And keep tuned to the channel. You can help us decide next year's Intercut Awards. We already start thinking about the next batch of movies that we got to honor a year from now. Anything else to talk about to wrap up our award winners before we go?
No, just always curious to know your thoughts down below. Like we said, we always try to define the movies and performances and pieces of film that we are just going to resonate. Things that we know in the future when we're telling you about another good movie that's on the horizon. This is the track record of where these filmmakers were at. And all we hope to do is just put more must-watch movies on your radar.
Exactly. So until the next time, until the next video, I'm Zachary Shevich. That's Arturo Zarita. This is the Intercut podcast. And remember, are you an up-and-comer if you've already arrived?